Okay, it's time now to start talking about more complex strategies and stuff. Enough with the theory, let's pass a little bit to the more spicy stuff. But I think that the theory introduction helps you understand a little bit about why, because if I didn't explain you about the repeated sales again and again and how they help on the optimization, the randomness of the initial results, you wouldn't understand the crazy method. So let's go to dive a little bit deeper. If there is one thing that I'm proud of is for finding out the crazy method. I haven't seen anyone else talking about it or using it. Maybe there are other people using it, but I have been using it for many years and even more aggressively in the previous years, like doing a lot of ads, like 50 ads, for example, in a crazy method. What is the crazy method? The crazy method is, let's say, for example, that we have a CBO that we are running with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ads over here, and we're seeing that this one interest is doing really well. So what you do is that you take this one and you put it in a new CBO and you duplicate this one 5 times. For example, if you have 5 ads set up, we're going to talk a little bit about how you put different budgets on the CBO. So this is the way that you do it, and basically it's just taking the same ad set a lot of times and duplicating it again. I mean, duplicating it several times in one CBO campaign. Crazy method means that it's a CBO campaign. It means that all the ad sets are exactly the same between each other and all the ads are the same between each other. There is no crazy method with ABO. There's no crazy method with anything else. It has to be CBO. There are some versions with ASC and all of that, but we're going to talk about that later. I need to clarify that the CBO crazy method is all about scaling. So it's about, I'm having something which is working. How can I scale it a little bit more? How can I find different hot pockets? Why? When I was starting running ads, I realized that when I start running this ad, for example, on Monday, then on Tuesday, then on Wednesday, then on Friday, my results were completely different. And I couldn't understand it. After understanding the hot pockets, I started realizing why. Because the randomness of the initial result that we have seen earlier is forming a hot pocket, which might be good or might be bad based on who is the first person that's going to buy. Of course, as we move by and we have a better pixel, better targeting, better ad account, the randomness of the hot pocket most of the times is going to be good. Okay, but in the new pixels we might have that, okay, and we might have a problem. So the hot pocket is very important when it's being formed, and there is always randomness, especially when you run it between days. How can I limit this risk when I want to run ads every day? By taking the ad set that is working and by duplicating it several times in a new campaign, which is a crazy method now. Why? Because it's something that's working, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find different hot pockets, and then I can do another campaign to scale more my account with another crazy method that I'm going to keep the same interests, for example, that are working with different creatives and different angle. But we will talk about this later on the scaling chapter. So the crazy method is all about taking something that's working and trying to find more hot pockets. But why, except from the randomness of the initial results? We are going to go into my PC. I'm going to show you in another account. Meta gave us a very big spend in an ad set, and basically I will show you what happened, the potential reach and how many people we targeted and all of that, just so that you can understand that the hot pockets are being formed, but it's not going to target all the people. So if you want to expand more and find other hot pockets in the same potential reach, hot pockets of the same angle even, okay, maybe you need to do the crazy method in order for you to expand it more. And for me, it's working very well for several years. And the reason that it's working very well is because it's actually helping you to find something better instead of you hoping in luck to find a good hot pocket. So this one is giving you better chances. Of course, there's a whole way of optimizing CBO campaigns in order to find out the best hot pocket and all of that. But these are things that you're going to watch later in the CBO optimization in the Loom videos, because they are really complex and there are so many different cases and so many different things to see. For sure though, it's a very good way for you to just utilize something. If it's very difficult for you to have result, to utilize something to get something better, to scale something that is doing okay, but you cannot scale it by just increasing the budget because a lot of times you have a problem, or by just testing something immediately out with a crazy method when you know that something is working already with some other set of creatives. So this is how a crazy method campaign looks. Again, it's a CBO campaign. You have one ad set, for example, here. It's one ad, a second ad, a third ad, different ads between them, not the same ones. But this is an ad set, for example, that you're having some targeting, some interest, or even broad with narrowing down to demographics, like if you have breaking down the results and you have seen that your ads are working very well for women which are from 30 to 55, then you can run a broad crazy method campaign over here that you have only these women 30 to 45 with your ads over here, and then you take this one and you multiply it several times. How many times is the question? Let me tell you now. As we said, the crazy method is not a method that you're using initially and stuff. Do I do it? Yes, but I'm experienced. I have used many crazy methods in my and done many crazy methods in my life. I know how to optimize them and all of that. The point is that optimizing CBO campaigns is one thing, but how many ads and what kind of budget you will put is another thing, and it's a common question that I do get. For example, let's say that you are selling something for 100. Okay, and you're getting enough, because what did we say? The crazy method is not a method that you're using initially, it's a scaling. So you need to know what is your average cost per purchase that you're getting. Okay, so I'm getting in another campaign that I'm having, I'm getting an average cost per purchase, which is 30. Okay, so what am I going to do is most of the times is I'm going to do 100 divided with my average cost per purchase, which is making me 3 point something. That means that I'm getting 4 ad sets. Okay, what does this mean? That means that I'm having a CBO which is 100 with 4 ad sets because the budgets are daily. Remember that we discussed that in the when you're going to start your ads at 6 a.m. and stuff. The budgets are daily and they're setting daily. So the amount that you need to put here is it needs to have a close correlation with what you're spending. Now, if you're spending 200 over here, for example, okay. So with 7 ad sets, you have 210, okay? So you can put either 7 or 6 ad sets, okay? So this is how you do it and this is how you calculate it. Very, very important. Back in the day, in the previous crazy method videos, I might have been told you that you can do 20 ad sets, 30 ad sets, whatever. Now, if you have a number over here of ad sets like 15, okay, you then divide this by 2 to find your ad sets, which is going to be 7.5. So you pick if you want 7 or 8. If you put 8, it means that you want to have slower process because there is more ad sets for the budget to be distributed. If you want 7, it means that you want to go more aggressive. Initially, I would strongly suggest you in new CBO campaigns, because you don't have the experience, to go with a slower pace in order for you to be able to optimize properly. But this is how you calculate how many ad sets you are going to have based on the spend that you want to put in a CBO. And this is how you do it. Now, if your average cost per purchase is this, and you're putting inside the crazy method something which is working already, there is no way that it's going to fail. It means that you don't know how to optimize it. If you have picked something that is not working at all and you put it on a crazy method, guess what is going to happen? It's going to do even worse because you're taking something that doesn't work and you put it in a crazy method to try to expand this worseness, okay? So the crazy method is an amplifier, okay? Something that is working, you make it better. That's why it's so nice campaign and it's working for everyone, because basically if you use it in the right way, then that means that you cannot fail because you're using something and you're utilizing something that's already working. So we explained what is the crazy method and how many ad sets you should put and what kind of budget. One last thing that I need to mention. When I made the crazy method, I made it with a perspective that I'm having something with spending 100. Let's do a crazy method with another 100 to scale a little bit more. That was my way of thinking. Or I'm having a problematic pixel. It's difficult for me to find a hot pocket to actually optimize. So I'm trying to do a crazy method to have better chances of finding a hot pocket so that I can train my pixel in the best possible way, and all of that in problematic accounts. The thing that they didn't realize is that people are going to take this and they will think that just because they will run a crazy method, for example, it's going to work on their ad accounts. Or another thing is that they are abusing it. For example, they were taking the same creative again and again and again, and they were running 6 crazy method campaigns, 7. Of course, this system eventually is going to collapse. Why? because you are targeting the same hot pocket over here, okay? And you're not going with other campaigns that you will find other hot pockets and other hot pockets. So what is going to happen is that eventually they are going to die. So the crazy method is there to help you scale a little bit. The crazy method is there to help you combat a little bit the randomness of the initial results, to find a better hot pocket, to do it a little bit more professionally. If something is working and you put it on crazy method, there is no way that's not going to work. It means that you have done something wrong, or it wasn't working initially and you got lucky for some reason there. The other thing that I need to mention is that if you overdo it, eventually the whole system is going to collapse and the one campaign is going to cannibalize the other. You have to watch my daily loop theory videos in order to understand it more. Let's go into my PC for the last part of it so that I can show you what do we have over there, how with such a high spend we have just one hot pocket and how it actually behaved, and a little bit of explaining the crazy method there in case someone hasn't understood on how to run it, and I will see you there. So this is a very big proof, at least for me, it was and it is a very big proof about the hot pockets and how they do work and stuff. I was doing crazy method before that, but because of understanding how the hot pockets are working and all of that, I started noticing things. I told you, except from the fact that I was seeing that my ads were doing differently when I was launching them on the same ads, were doing differently when I was launching them on different days, then this also came. So when we had the iOS changes, Meta actually started pushing a lot the concept of the shops because they wanted to keep all the data within the platform. So what happened over here is that they gave us a funding, 100% funding, and they said, run shop ads with broad targeting in this ad account, and we're going to give you 1.7 million to spend just in one ad set. Perfect. That was the perfect thing. I was never going to be able to do a test of that. We were running ads. Of course, it's website and shop, as you can understand. It's not only shop, so it's not influencing the targeting. The targeting is broad. Just to keep an idea of how much is the targeting over here, we're targeting 151 million people over here. And let's see a little bit of what we're going to notice. We're going to see here that we're spending 1.7 million. And we are just going to reach 20 million people. Let me tell you that this is something that was done across several months. This is what I know from MetaReps. The reach is unique every 30 days. So we didn't reach its unique reach of 30 days. That's what I'm trying to say. We didn't reach 19 million people. It's even less from the 150 million people. My question is, in order for us to, either Meta is lying for how many people we are targeting potentially, or we are having hot pockets. There's nothing else, okay? So it's optimizing for something, because how much money do I need to spend in order for me to target 50 million people out of the 150 million people, okay? So over here we're having 19. This is not unique 19 people. I believe based on what Meta says, the unique reach is 30 days, so we are targeting less people. The CPM is 10, which is pretty good, and we're having a frequency of 8.5 in a broad audience. We did a broad audience and we have a frequency of 8.5. So that for me, it was just another, this one is a test that started on February and finished on August. Okay, so we have March, April, May, June, July, August. We have 6 months, and in 6 months, by spending 1.7 million, we just reached, okay, even if you want to say it, we just reached 20 million people by just spending this enormous amount of money. That's crazy to me, okay? And it's proving the hot pockets. If I was going to use this in a crazy method, you will see that the full reach, it was going to be completely different. Sadly, I don't have 1.7 million to spend in a crazy method like this, but for sure, forget about the results, okay? Don't care about the results because we're just, also it was free funding, okay? So this is just extra results, but at the end of the day, they were caring of just training the algorithm. When you enter this kind of beta things, you don't care about the results because it's all about training the algorithm and they fund you 100%. So of course we took the deal, and for me it was really eye-opening because I could understand that, because everybody thinks that you can scale. How do you want to scale when you're spending here 1.7 million, for example, giving you 9 frequency, and you're targeting 20 million people, and then people talk about consolidation. How can they go and they talk about consolidation when you have this campaign over here that you are spending all of this amount of money, you cannot scale, it's going to stop you, the frequency is high, and then how can you not believe in different hot pockets and just having different hot pockets that they will have a different budget, they will scale differently and all of that? I just don't understand how people are focused on consolidation when we're having this kind of proof in front of us from different things that we see on Meta. Just one thing before we close is that I want to make just one example of how we create a crazy method campaign in case someone hasn't understood it, because crazy method is something that you will hear a lot from now on and everywhere. So let me show you one example. Just before we go, I was talking with my video editor and something came to my mind because I was explaining to that it was really important for me. I need to clarify that we used the best creative on the ad account, not just any creative. We used the best creative on the ad account, which means that the best creative of the ad account that it actually was working and all of that, it couldn't perform and scale as much, okay? And this is a very good ad account with a very good pixel and all of that, okay? So don't think about things like it wasn't a good creative and a good creative is going to scale more and all of that. No, it's not, okay? And this is one of the, if I tell you the name and you will see that account, you will understand, but you will never know the name. Let's go to show you one crazy method. So in this ad account, not any big ad account and stuff, it's fairly new, so we use more crazy method and all of that. We haven't jumped to other kind of styles of campaigns. So here, for example, we have a CBO campaign, which we're testing different interests over here, okay? So then we see that this one is taking budget, but it's having 0.89, this one, but this one is having 2 ROAS, which is what we want, and it's getting 2 ROAS actually with some good volume. We're getting a CPM which is normal, not big one like this one and stuff. So what do we do is that we say that, okay, we see that we have some, because another thing which I forgot to mention and is that I don't want you to just see one sale in one ad set and say, oh my god, this is having one sale, so crazy method. No, it needs to have also volume, because what are we trying to do? We try to scale, we try to have more sales with it, okay? So here we're having something which is having 2 ROAS almost with some volume and some good cost per purchase. So what we do is we duplicate that, we duplicate with current settings, we continue, we do it in a new campaign. Okay, we name this one, okay, we duplicate it. Okay, so now we have the campaign 1, it's here, and what we're going to do is, how many ad sets are we going to do? We see we have 55. Let's say that we have a budget of 100. I would do 3 ad sets, a little bit more, you know, try to improve it a little bit. Let's say that we have a budget of 200. I would do either 4 or 5. Let's say that we have a budget of 500, okay? I would do 10, or what we said, we're going to divide it by 2, I would do 5. What am I trying to get there? I'm trying to get 2 sales per day over there. Of course, the more you increase the budget and the more you do that, the more you have the chances of actually having bad results, because you are trying to scale like this. But for sure you can go in a crazy method which is not going to be only 100 or 200, it can be higher, or depending on the AOV that you have. And then as soon as you create that, I don't know why we get an error, but I will find it. Just a second. Okay, for some reason it's giving me an error. I guess it's a very old ad. Let's do it with this one, which is new. Duplicate with our current settings. You go into a new campaign, you press test, for example, you duplicate. And as we said in the previous case, we're going to do it 3 times. So what are we doing here is that we keep the same structure. We come here, we duplicate this one another 2 times. So now we have 3 ad sets which are exactly the same, with the same ads and everything. This is a structure. This is a crazy method. It means exactly the same ad set, exactly the same ads inside the ad sets, not different, nothing is different. You just go for a hot pocket, you don't go for other things. So this is how the crazy method is, this is how you create it. Then you do your different settings inside here. Based on the course you will see more about that. We have discussed the budget and stuff, we have discussed why you should not work with consolidation and randomness of results, hot pockets and all of that. And this is the crazy method, you're going to hear a lot about it.